Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. It's football season again, and I sincerely say this from the bottom of my heart. Raw. Yes, it's that time of year when multi-million-dollar athletes compete in front of multi-billion-dollar owners for multi-trillion-dollar franchises, and countless merchandise gets moved. It's all a very interesting cycle. You look at the athletes that appear on TV and tell children, don't do drugs. And then the commercial right after that is going to be a beer commercial telling them to drink beer, which is a drug. Now, don't get me wrong. I see nothing wrong with the moderate consumption of pretty much any substance. There's a few that are off limits. Drugs like crocodile, for example, crocodile, however the Russians say it. But beer and football are just intrinsically linked, the same way that bacon and eggs are linked with the morning. But it's all money in that industry. Of course, it's money with everything. When they say they're doing it for the love of the sport, and then they're signing a contract like Patrick Mahomes did for $500 million, that's $500 million over the next 10 years. Yeah, you might love the game, but you'll love your wallet more. But it's hard for me to really get angry at the athletes. I don't really have a problem with them getting paid. I mean, look at the annual revenues of most teams. It's in the hundreds of millions, if not in the billions. And the owners are there basically being peacocks. They're strutting their stuff because they know that somebody's going to get a camera on their skybox or interview them, or suddenly they are king of the day. It's a big ego trip for the billionaires. And like I said, they're making a hell of a lot of money. I think the salary cap is like at 70% or something like that. So whatever the team makes, 70% of it goes to the players, the rest of it goes to the team. I don't have a problem with them paying 70% of their money out in salaries. It seems a bit out of whack because most other industries, you're looking at about 33.3% in salaries. The general rule they always say is 33.3% in salaries, 33.3% in costs, and 33.3% should be your profit, and that's how you maintain a profitable business. Sports exists in a different ballpark, pun fully intended. Let's look for a second at, the athletes. Let's stare this right now. I'm going to pick on Antonio Brown because he's the case of a guy who had a couple years where he went off the deep end, but he's managed to reform his image. There's still charges pending on him. There's still all sorts of things, but he seems to be under control. Someone's keeping him on a tight leash. There's all sorts of athletes that have gone nuts and killed themselves and given into the whole partying and drug lifestyle. Walter Payton, a legendary running back, died waiting for a liver transplant. Because your body can only take so much punishment. That's kind of why they pay the big salaries in the NFL. Because, quite frankly, those guys' bodies are not going to last very long. Now let's look at the money. What drives the NFL? Ultimately, it comes down to advertising dollars and how many viewers they can get. Because they have, let's say, 400 million might be, let's just say 5 million views on a game. Then they can turn around to a beer commercial. They can turn around to an airline company and say, hey, if you're with us if your commercials are with us, you're going to get 4 million eyeballs, however many times per hour that you choose to, whatever package that you pick. And that's a lot of eyeballs to be seeing your stuff. And we all know that commercials do influence us. That's exactly the point of them. As annoying, as weird, as frustrating as they are, The point is for us to look at them and say, hey, that's interesting. I've never tried that before. Even if it's for something as boring as Coca-Cola, which everybody in the free world and the not free world knows about, they're still going to advertise. Now, that advertising revenue also extends to the stadiums. And this is why owners are always out to get that sweet, lucrative stadium deal from whatever city that they're in or whatever city they threaten to move to. Because if they can get a stadium built for them with no money out of their pocket, despite the fact that they are mostly billionaires, I think Green Bay is the only one not owned by somebody with substantial money behind them. But most of the other ones are billionaires. They could buy that in a heartbeat. But it's all about maximizing profitability. So when you go to a stadium, hence where I get the authentic 1995, I believe, Toronto Argonaut football. When you go to a stadium, the second you get there, you're hit by advertising. There's special announcements, this play is brought to you by the local pizza joint, whoever it might be. And all throughout the stadium, they're trying to get more of your money. I remember back when it was called the Sky Dome, buying a cup of beer for $4. And that was expensive back then. Now I know it's up to $14, $15, and not that much time has passed. That same bottle of beer that you can buy for about $1.50 to $2 at your local grocery store, liquor store, beer store, wherever you happen to get your beverages of choice. And they're adding that much profit on it. Why? Well, it's simple. The team has to be able to show a profit once every 7 years. And this is one of the biggest scams that they have in the industry. You can write off your losses as a tax deduction. And there's so many ways that you can write off losses. Even if you're making huge amounts of money, you just simply transfer debits from one place to another. Any good accountant can do it. And you turn around, and the city that's been feeding you money, you say, sorry, I can't pay my tax credits this year, or I can't pay my taxes this year because, look, I didn't make all that much money. And the only law is once every 7 years, you have to show you make a profit. So 1 year you show you made $1 profit, you pay whatever percentage in taxes, then you can go back to losing millions again. And then you get to write off other taxes. Meanwhile, your commercials, your signage, the people buying the tickets to the gate, buying McDonald's, who's renting from you, all that revenue goes into your pocket. Billionaires are not stupid. They have us from every angle. Now, football is a TV product. Yes, it's nicer in the stadium, but most people aren't going to go to a stadium on any given day because stadiums generally put are not the nicest thing. Even before the pandemic broke out, sitting right next to somebody you don't know and, maybe they smell bad, maybe they have no respect for your personal space, maybe they're a loud group and you're a quiet group. You have no idea and no control over who or what that person is. It's kind of like going to a movie theater, except in movie theaters, people don't get up and start cheering at every single moment. It's generally reserved for, more special things, whereas every play, somebody's going to be out shouting, "Go team, go!" Insert team name here. Now, the billionaires, they have their own special reason for wanting to own a sports team. And it's called equity. They're going to buy in. I'm going to take Jimmy Jones, for example. He bought the Dallas Cowboys for like $400 million. And right now they're worth trillions. Yeah, with a T. So in the 20, 30 years that he's been there, 1990 to 30 years since he's been there, look at his money. What a great investment for him. And he's been able to walk up on that podium 3 times, get interviewed as the champion. Maybe more, I'm not sure, but 3 for sure. And he's had his ego stroke the whole way. Meanwhile, if he ever decided to, he would have such a profit, he would never need his children's children's children to work ever again. And that's the real game. They don't care if they lose. Like, yeah, their local people are going to be pissed off if they lose, but look Look at cities like Cleveland and Cincinnati that have gone decades with horrible teams. Look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, who have gone 5 decades without even sniffing at the championships. It doesn't matter because they know they have the sports demographic in their area wrapped up. And that's all they need. They just need to say, look, I'm here, I sell it every day, I put that money in my pocket, and poof, I'm richer. That's the way it is. Fly in the shop. That might be embarrassing, but I guess that's the fly in the ointment that hits every single team. And when you're dealing with people who have trillions of dollars in equity, that's something they can borrow against and make more money. I think I've said this before, I'll say it again. When Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, walks into a car dealership, they're not asking him for a credit check. They're not getting him into the office to negotiate with the manager. He's just walking in, he's saying, I want the car, I don't want the car, whatever it is, and yeah, figure out the details. And he's got a team of people to take care of that. He's got a personal assistant to take care of that. He just says, I want this. He can say tomorrow, I would like to buy all the remaining Toys R Us franchises and turn them into, Chuck E. Cheese's. And he can do it. That's why people like Elon Musk have saved their money and they're putting into the space race. And they're getting a competitive and qualitative edge over the other billionaires on the planet. And this is why ultimately I do kind of rank billionaires in my head a certain way. I've picked on Elon Musk before, many times, devoted a whole episode to him and his background. But you know what? Ultimately, I respect the fact that he's sinking his money into going to space. And not like Jeff Bezos and Branson did, where they get to go into a trip. He's going for Mars. Meanwhile, Jerry Jones is watching his team play. He watches his soldiers run around on the field thinking he's a general when all he is really just a real estate tycoon that managed to maximize his profits. I can predict today technically, some teams are going to win, some teams are going to lose. There's going to be that big play that bothers you, whether your team won or lost. The refs were looking the wrong way, and it's the same story over and over. Now, I don't want you to take this as me taking a poop on whatever your favorite team is. Watching sports, in my opinion, is pretty benign. Yes, it's programmed, it's jingoistic, it's trying to push patriotism down your throat, whether it's for your country or another country. And it's kind of hokey when you really look at it. But the same token, aside from the constant subliminal advertising, it's relatively harmless. My father thinks he has figured out a system where he can predict the next play because he's figured out watching one of the people on the sidelines, and chances are the ball does go in that direction. Not saying that the leagues are fixed, but I'm not going to rule it out either because I don't have enough evidence. I don't have a large enough sample size. My dad and I don't sit down to watch many football games. But we were both doing pretty good there for a while. Harmless, unless you're one of the people that is, putting multiple $1,000 bets on a given game. I got no problem if you're going to have your pick three, where you're going to pick three teams to win, whatever it is, against the spread. Yeah, we've all thrown $20 into a pool and had a little bit of fun. No problem. But as long as, like I said, Silverlight is always going to say anything in moderation. I have no problem with you. Want to have a little beer? That's okay, as long as it's in moderation. Want to watch your football? Just don't spend Sunday from, noon till 10 o'clock at night doing nothing but watching the games. For pity's sake, you have to eat too. And there's nothing wrong with watching the highlights. I personally watch the highlights just so that when I'm around people, I have something to talk to them about. And when they say, oh, did you see this? I can say, oh yeah, And just they don't need to know that I saw it on the highlights. It's a sneaky way to be social. And people think, oh, Silverlight's a great guy. He watches all the things. No, no, no. I'm doing the gray man thing. I'm a social chameleon. I'm making them think I'm on their side because I'm not against them, but I don't want them to come against me. And if you say that you don't do the same things that everybody else does, they kind of look at you funny. So you kind of have to follow football. YouTube is a wonderful thing. There's a couple good channels out there. I recommend Urinating Tree, because he at least provides some entertaining commentary while he recaps the games. And then, like I said, all you need to do is watch that and you're caught up in all your sports. There's other channels out there. Everybody will have their own. But this is just, like I said, my way of fitting in social circles. Because chances are, wherever you go, you're going to find a sports fan. And they're going to want to talk to you about their favorite team. It's a little bit like a disease, but fortunately not contagious, unlike the pandemic that we've suffered through. Just a few thoughts about football. If you support football, I hope your home team wins, or if you don't like your home team, whatever team you root for wins. If you don't support football, I hope football doesn't interrupt whatever other show you're watching or take up too much time on the news if you're trying to ignore the TV at all. Personally, no problem with it. I hope the athletes get more money because they tend to spend it. Athletes, I think, are the one example of real trickle-down economics. They're going to go out and buy it on stupid things like going to a pizza place and giving everybody free orders for a day and crazy stuff like that because they're rich and they don't know what else to do with their money. But the billionaires, again, they have it all stacked against you. Even if you're not supporting them by watching their game, you are supporting them through your taxes. And you know what? Most of the leagues have revenue sharing in place. So whether you like it or not, in one way or another, your tax dollars are going to those billionaires. That's the bottom line, as somebody once said. Just something to think about. Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy your games. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And we hope everybody has a fantastic day.